Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Janet Yong, and in my channel I share about Feng Shui, Bazi, entrepreneurship as well as personal growth, especially in the areas of communication success and motivation. In this episode, I'll be carrying on to share the next 3 stars, the stars of Hero, Grain and Bird. So without further ado, let's move on to the next segment where I'll share more. Now, in last week's video, I shared about Qi Men Dun Jia stars, which really governs basically our mindset, our mental state or condition or approach on how we do things. So what is the difference between the guardian, which usually if it's in your life palace points to our life purpose or the overarching condition or subconscious direction that you should be moving to. Then I shared on the doors, which is the activity and how you should be going about doing it. And then when we talk about the stars, like I mentioned last week, it is really about our approach, about how we would usually be more comfortable in doing certain things. So if you have missed any of the videos that I mentioned earlier on guardians as well as door, please remember to click on this link where you can then go to the Qi Men Dun Jia series where I've shared a few videos on the topics that I mentioned earlier on. Now let's start on today's star. The first star that I would like to discuss today is that of the hero. Now, hero, as the name suggests, it's really about image building, about brand building, whether is it for yourself or your company. But most times it's really about yourself, about how you are differentiated or unique in this particular world. For instance, if your guardian is that of the chief, which is really to make a difference to other people, then when you go through the star, or if you have the star of the hero within your Qi Men Dun Jia destiny chart or palace, then it generally means that you will be thinking about how do you get your name out there so that people know that you are good at making a difference to other people. So that's the hero star. Similarly, if you are looking at the scenery door, then it's really about taking the kind of steps to build that image. But the difference between the star and the door of scenery would be the star is your mental state, or the way you approach things is you will generally be thinking about the strategies of how you will want to build your brand. For instance, maybe writing a book about your specific expertise area and then publishing it so that you can gain credibility. The scenery door would be all the steps that you will take to basically get there. So that's the difference when we talk about a mental condition or mental state versus that of the actual action steps. If you are looking at your destiny palace with the hero door, whichever guardian that you are working with, it is critical that when you are thinking about the image portion, about building your personal brand name to get it out there, think of the strategies of how you can get yourself known as well as how you can brand your authentic self. So that's the hero star. The next star that I'd like to talk about is really the grain star. So what is the grain star? The grain star is really about learning. It's also someone who is good-natured and usually would like the comfort of knowing that things are comfortable for them and they prefer a more luxurious lifestyle. There will be those who do not mind putting in the effort and at the same time living in a humble condition. But for those with the grain star, do remember that your mental and mind state generally becomes better when you feel more fulfilled and happy from the perspective of comforts of life and luxury, or with your family members. So that's critical for understanding how you will go about doing it. So if, let's say, for example, you're going towards your purpose and you take the live door, action door, making the actions and all those, but you constantly have to be restrained and not be able to reward yourself, generally you will not be happy. So the green star is really about Rewarding yourself when you achieve every single milestone and rewarding yourself in a way that you feel comfortable with. So that's very critical for the green star. The next star that I would like to talk about is that of the bird. The bird is very similar to the green, where you are also someone who's really about comfort, but image is more important to you compared to that of the green. You also like comfort, you also like luxury. So knowing your mind state, how you operate, and then making sure that the working environment motivates you to move towards that is critical, especially if it is within your destiny palace. And for the bird star itself, you are also someone who is very concerned about your branding, your personal image, a little bit like the hero, but the bird is really somewhere a mixture of both the green as well as the hero star. So let me give you an example that differentiates the guardian and the two different stars. For instance, if you have the guardian in this case of heaven. Now we know that heaven is very powerful in terms of commanding respect as well as visualizing the success that they want. Usually they are very good at getting their name out there with high standards that they expect on themselves and other people. Now if you have the heaven guardian with the hero star, the aspect of personal branding and image building will be even higher in terms of getting your name out to the masses. Whereas if you have the heaven guardian with the green star itself, it's really about having that great image within your team, within the environment that you operate in, but you must have the comfort and luxury of life, whereas the hero star may not necessarily require that. So that's the difference between a heaven guardian with that of the hero star versus that of the green star. So I hope that this makes it a little bit clearer in terms of how you utilize the different guardians, doors and stars within your Qi Men Dun Jia destiny chart. I'll share with you the last 3 stars in next week's episode. And in the meantime, if you're curious about your Qi Men Dun Jia chart, please remember to click on the link in the video description to get your personalized Qi Men Dun Jia blueprint report. So I'll see you next week. Goodbye.